Hi, my name's Keith Cooper of No Flight Images, and this is another one of my videos looking at business aspects of being a photographer. This is not about professional photography, it's about selling prints. In fact, I get asked a lot of questions about the business side of things because I've written articles for years about it. And one of the areas I get asked about an awful lot is, how can I sell my prints? Where can I sell my prints? In fact, the usual thing I'm asked is, where can I sell my prints? But the most important answers are, who buys prints? Do you want to run this as a business, or is this just an occasional hobby? But anyway, I've got a series of short videos here that I originally produced quite a few years ago that I've taken together, I've re-edited, and I've also added in a few notes and bits and pieces. But essentially, nothing has changed. They were done, as I say, about 4 years ago when the YouTube channel was very small, so probably a lot of people today won't have seen these, and given the way YouTube works, people were never likely to see them. So I put them together, I put them assembled in a way, I added extra notes and things. But anyway, the first one up is going to be looking at stuff you should know about selling prints and the importance of who and the business. I'm going to be covering an issue which I get a lot of questions asking me about, and this is, where do I sell my prints? I want to sell my prints. How can I make use of my prints? How can I make some money out of them? You get the general theme. The thing is, the main answer to that is not where do you sell your prints, but who do you sell your prints to? And it's some aspects of that I'll be having a look at in this and another short video. As I said, it's who buys your prints that count. Just because some friend of yours has gone, oh, that's a great print, you ought to sell them. Do they know people who buy prints? You probably don't know yourself even. When did you last buy a print of the sort you're trying to sell? That suggests you actually probably haven't a clue who actually buys them. Sure enough, you can give prints away. I've run out of relatives and friends with wall space to take prints because of all the prints I produce through my printer testing and everything. But when it comes down to it, it's about marketing. Simple example. Here's a picture. Now this is some beach huts on the beach on the Suffolk coast at Southwold. Now there we go, nice pretty looking picture. It's a bit twee for my liking. It's bright colours. It's a sort of picture people will put up in their bathroom, people will put up in their kitchen, whatever. Now this is the same place. I grew up on the Suffolk coast, and to me this is a much more accurate recollection of what it's like. This one with the tiny little bit of blue sky and the tiny bit of colour in the picture, which is, it will brighten up, honestly, much more matches up to my recollections of holidaying on the Suffolk coast. However, when it comes down to selling prints, Cheerful is much more likely to beat Dismal. Now, what does this mean in terms of actually selling prints? It means that you have to think about who's buying your prints and that Cheerful sells. And what it means is that just because you like a picture better than another, I much prefer this dismal looking one, that other people may not. Now, I've tried this when I printed this a few years ago and had some copies and was giving them away. People who knew the Suffolk coast went, yeah, that's got it, that's right. Whereas people who just wanted a decorative print, like that one. Now, notice I said just want a decorative print. That's in some ways putting down the quality of these prints, and that's a wrong thing to do, because when it comes down to it, the people who buy your prints are right. Old adage, the customer's always right. Another thing is they have to be local sells. So this is the pier at Cromer on the North Norfolk coast on a nice day. People like pictures like this. This is a picture that would sell much better in chroma than somewhere on, say, Cornwall coast. Likewise, Suffolk, this would sell much better locally. This comes down to where you're going to sell your prints. Now, a lot of people ask me, oh, what online servers can you recommend for selling prints? And my honest answer is none of them. Because the people who make prints, make money from selling prints online, are the people who run the stores that sell the prints. They are mostly vanity projects. Don't assume that just because you sell a print means that you have a successful print business. It doesn't work. But anyway, just a few other bits and pieces. I have to say there's another video I'm going to be making about this as well. These are all fairly large prints. Small prints often sell better. There's a borderless print. It looks very nice stuck to the wall, but think about framing it. You're going to lose some when you frame it, unless you mount it directly. Similarly, if you have a liking for panoramic prints, this and the boat here in Amble, the Northumberland coast, how are you going to mount these? And then when we get to panoramic prints, like this one, just north of San Francisco on the coast, yeah, it looks great. I really like it, but I was there. There's very little market here in the UK for interesting looking images of the US. Now, let's say I get some people in the US want to buy this print. That's great. It's going to cost a fortune to ship it, particularly if I do larger versions. But anyway, that comes down to the fulfillment side of things, which is something I'll look at in another video, the economics of it. But basically, if I had to say one key thing for people who want to sell their prints is understand your potential customer. What do they want? Sometimes that may not match with what your favourite print is. Tough, get over it. Are you in a business, or are you an artist who values the purity of their work? If so, expect maybe not to sell so many prints. But anyway, that's a very quick look at some aspects of print sales. So, as I covered there, most of it really it's about the who, and I will return to the who aspect of this. But what about if you decide that you are selling some prints and it becomes a bit more of a business? Are you ready for what that business entails? Selling a print or two? No trouble at all. Selling large numbers of prints? There are a whole different set of things you need to look at and to consider. Let's assume that you have an idea of who wants to buy your prints, but you're looking at selling more prints. Now, first of all, is it really a business that you're setting up? Because if it is a business, it's driven by profit. You need to do marketing. You need to look at your true costs. These are all things that people tend to gloss over when they think, oh, somebody has said, I really like that print. Can I buy it? Well, sure. This is a picture of a flower that I took testing a lens, if I remember rightly, some time ago. It looks very nice. It's quite pretty. Several people have said they like it. Some people said they liked it a lot. So I gave them a copy because I wasn't going to sell it. It was just a test print. Now, that's not a way to run a proper business. I really need to know, how much did it cost me to make this print? How much do I need to sell it for to make a profit? In looking at the cost of making this print, I need to think about the cost of the printer, cost of the ink, cost of the paper. But just as importantly, I need to think about costing my time for it, because there's a big difference between just making the odd print, selling it here and there. Say selling a print every month or so, no great effort. Selling a print a week is a bit more work. Selling a print a day, or even several prints a day, you get from being just doing the occasion, you're a fulfillment business. Your real job is not the artistic side of making prints. Your real job is feeding paper into the printer, taking the prints out and shipping them off. Now I'll come back to that in a moment, some of the aspects of it. But the key element is it a hobby, or are you doing this for profit? If you're doing it for profit, then you really do need to look into marketing in some detail. Yeah, some people, they might have holiday shots. So here's an example from the Suffolk coast. That would sell well on the Suffolk coast. No reason not to. If you're not on the Suffolk coast, and we're not, Suffolk coast is where I grew up, but I'm now in Leicester, in the centre of the UK, there's not that much interest. Likewise, there's a shot of misty sunset at Cannon Beach in Oregon. Quite a few people have said, yeah, it's a nice picture, but it doesn't really have any great meaning to them unless they know Cannon Beach. And so they just look on it as a decorative art. Now, some photographers get really sniffy about this and dislike their work being described as decorative art. I say get over it. Somebody wants to buy a copy of this picture, I don't care what they describe it as, it's a print sale. Now, if that attitude troubles you, then perhaps a print business is not for you. It's also a similar thing when people say, I produce fine art prints. Well, apart from the fact I haven't a clue what fine art prints actually are, I take it to mean decorative prints. It's used as a marketing term to try and sell the prints for a higher price as well, in that this print here is on a nice watercolour paper, whereas this print here is on a glossy photo paper. Now, there are reasons you might choose each. However, this paper has much more of a fine art feel about it. Have a look at how other people do sell prints. What I would say, I should qualify that, don't look at how people try and sell prints. So look at online galleries and all the things like that, which, as I've said, online galleries make money for the people hosting the online galleries, rarely for the people selling the images. Look at people who actually buy prints. You say, I don't know who buys the prints. Take that as your go-away job from this. Find out who buys prints, because if you don't know who buys prints, people who buy prints here in Leicester, and there are very few, which is why I don't have a print business here, are different to people who buy prints when they're on holiday or visiting places. Prints either have a personal meaning for someone or they're decorative. If somebody says, I really like that print, it fits in with the decor of my home and the colour scheme, I've got two choices. I can either go, yes, but it's a photograph of such and such, it means whatever, and come up with all the usual pretentious artsy spiel that people come out with, and go, how dare you just use it for decorative purposes? Or I can go, that's nice, take the money. It's how you think about your prints. I mentioned fine art. There is one aspect of selling prints that does make a difference in using terms like fine art, and that's how much you charge for them. A lot of people think, I can't charge too much for my prints. There is too cheap. If I sell this picture, and I'm just using this as an example because I've left it here. If I sell this picture for a tenner, that's £10, I need to sell 10 of them to make £100. Now, the costs of making 10 of them, that's 10 lots of ink, 10 lots of paper, 10 lots of shipping, 10 lots of my time to make the print here. If I sell this picture for £100, that's one print, one bit of paper, one bit of ink. The amount of profit I'm making is far higher. Now, if I'm in the right market, and this is once again that bit about knowing who you're selling to, if I'm in the right market, somebody will happily pay £100 for that picture. I wouldn't, but that's not the point. Similarly, when it comes to shipping prints, as I said, sending out one print a month, no great trouble. Print a week, 10 prints a day, that's a lot of hassle. So how do you send out prints? I just roll them up in tubes with tissue paper, send them out like that. You can send them out matted, but shipping things that don't bend very well is tricky and expensive. Likewise, I always send out prints with a border on them. Now, that borderless print, Wells Cathedral, may look quite nice as it is. It's printed borderless purely because I was testing a printer and I can print borderless. I would much prefer to send this print out with a border for mounting. Why is that? Because I want somebody else to mount them. Sending prints out in frames is a recipe for disaster. You will get damage and that's extra cost. So here is one of my prints mounted. Now I've just taken this from the wall in another room, and as you can see, it's got a glass front on it. It's been matted and it's in a wooden frame. Now I'm careful about moving even this print from one room to here to do this. The idea of trusting this to somebody shipping it, no, not going to happen. Also, when you're sending prints, think of the size of them. Prints like this, they look good. Even bigger prints look better, but very few people have that much space on their walls. Since we're looking at more prints, I've got this printer here, the Canon Pro 200, really nice printer. If I was producing fine art prints for archival purposes, I'd use a pigment-based ink. Now, not necessarily because it's a better looking picture, but because I can say the inks on this picture will last 300 years. And now, I wish I could say I was the least bit concerned whether they will last 200 or 300. I'm not. I'm unfortunately not going to be here. However, some people do worry about stuff like that, and if it enables you to sell your prints for a bit more, then so what? It's about marketing, it's a business, it's about how you sell your prints. One other thing, printer like this, ink cartridges for a printer like this are quite small. Now, printing the odd one or two prints to sale, great, no problem. You're going to be getting through some of these. I think I got about 50 or 60 prints of this size from this set of inks when they first went in this printer. That's going to cost. If I want to do lots of prints, get a bigger printer. Bigger printers have bigger ink tanks. Bigger ink tanks, the cost of ink goes down. But all of this sort of stuff is things you'd need to look at as part of your business plan. Oh yes, I did say if you want to think of it as a business, you need to plan. You need to work out different ways your stuff's going to go out. Anyway, that's just a few aspects of how some of the business of selling prints. I do sell prints. I don't sell them very often. It's not a major part of our business. In some ways, it's a promotional part of the business because it promotes the photography that I do. Because most of the time, I do commercial photography, architectural photography. I send the images off and I never know what happens with them. Occasionally, I get to print images, but it's not that often. That's because I'm running a business as a professional photographer and it's not a hobby. So choose what you want and look into it, plan and see how it goes. So the business is important, and you can easily see that unless you really want to sell prints, it can be a lot of work selling much, because it is no more than just a fulfillment business. It would help if it's a successful business if you still have time to go out and take photos as well. But anyway, for the next part of this, I'm looking again at that business, but also understanding why you are selling your prints. What are you getting out of it? Sure, if it's a business, you're hoping for it to be profitable, but what are you actually getting out of selling prints? Why? First question I want to ask in this particular video is why are you selling your prints? Is it just to see them on people's walls? Is it to make some money? Is it making a little money? Is it a business? Is it whatever? What's in it for you? Why are you actually doing this? Look into it a bit deeper, because one of the problems is that you may readily find that the kind of prints that sell aren't ones you like. That's just the way it is. Tastes differ. Just because you like a picture doesn't mean somebody else will. So you really need to think, why am I doing this? Am I going to be offended by someone really liking a print that I think is rubbish? Well, no. Take the money, move on. or don't sell your prints. It's a fairly simple one now. Why would somebody want your print? Well, I've got some examples here. These, although this printer is a Canon Pro 200 A3 Plus printer, prints I'm showing are actually somewhat larger ones. And these are made. These were made on a Epson P900, if I recall rightly. Very little difference other than paper size and a few other things. But have a look at my articles and reviews. But anyway, this is one of my architectural shots. I cannot imagine that many people, other than perhaps the architects, the people whose building it is, and a few other people, would want this picture as a print. That's a very limited market. That's partly why I don't sell many prints of my architectural work. I do occasionally, but they tend to be for people who want even bigger ones than this, and they want to put them in offices and foyers and things like that. So think about why somebody would want. Most people would not want this print. A related sort of print would be one here, Steps at Wells Cathedral. Now, a lot of people like this picture. I have sold a few copies of it. I would say I'm not a big one for print sales. Most of my work is the out and out photography side of things. I do printing, I do sell some prints, but it's not a major part of our business, and that's a deliberate choice. And this one, it's decorative. Somebody might be interested in cathedrals. There's lots of detail. They might be interested. There are all kinds of reasons why somebody might want this. But I'm going to say it's far more likely that someone who lives near Wells Cathedral is going to want it than somebody living near another great cathedral who might want another picture of some other place or something like that. When you think about people who are buying your prints, answer the question, what's in it for them? Why do they want your print? Because if you know why people want your prints, it helps you understand why you need to make prints that they want and getting them in place of, in front of them. That's a tricky one really, because it's easy to have a gallery, and it's a significant problem of online galleries is that they have masses and masses of really nice looking pictures, but nobody ever goes there to buy anything. As I've said in one of the other videos, the only people who make money from online galleries are the people who charge you to put your work on the online gallery. That's the model that works. Some people will sell, very few people will sell. And it's also information that the people who run the online galleries are never going to tell you. So yeah, take care with that. So we've got that. Comes down to people liking a print. They either have a need for it to show something or they want it. Here's a picture. This is one of the flat bits of Oregon, taken whilst I was driving across one day. Like the sky, like the look. To me, this is a holiday snap, but it's also a decorative holiday snap. And it's a picture that people like because they like whatever emotion it raises in them. So always remember that just because you see a print a certain way doesn't mean that the person who's actually looking at the print is going to see it remotely similar to you. So don't make that mistake. You can truly never know what's in the mind of somebody else looking at one of your pictures. That's why if you have an exhibition, it's great to walk around an exhibition of your own pictures without making it obvious that they're your pictures, and just listen to people's comments. You will be astounded by what people say about your work. You may be horrified as well, so take care in doing it. But anyway, that's a picture that there's probably very little market for other than as a decorative print, purely decorative print in the UK. In parts of Oregon, it might sell, but who knows? In general, you need a trade. You need a passing trade that's going to do it. Because if I have a picture, let's take one of my pretty pictures done on the Suffolk coast. Now, if I've got a picture like this, yeah, it's a decorative one. People are going to buy this one when they're visiting a place. It's going to remind them of it. Now, if I've got somewhere showing my prints, if a few people go along, a few people buy a print, that's great. What I need is a continuous flow of people. So if you want to sell holiday prints, you know, pictures of the seaside and the like, you need a gallery at the seaside. because that's when people are in the mood to buy prints and things like this. Sure, you can go to art fairs and things like that if they're available in your area, and it's not universal. Several people from some of the earlier videos I made asked me about selling at art shows. Well, we don't have them here. I've been to a few craft fairs, and I really have got better things to do with my life than sit all day on a stall and sell 2 or 3 pictures. It's just not a profitable return on my time. Your opinion may be, you might want to do it as a hobby. You might just enjoy doing these things. Not that there are many art fairs and the likes at the moment, but we'll assume that they do come back. But even then, how big is your market? How many people going to that event want pictures of the sort that you've got? I'm reminded of something that happened years ago. Some various unemployed people I knew lived in a house. They decided they were going to make some money, and they baked some bread, and they went out to a nearby sort of fairly wealthy part of the town, and they went round selling loaves of bread on their from their bicycle, and they sold 6 loaves of bread. They thought, oh, this is a great idea. They pooled all the various benefit monies, made lots of mess, made loads of bread, and went round, and the next day they sold 6 loaves. And the example of that always reminds me that just because you sell a few prints doesn't mean that you will suddenly be able to scale that up and sell more prints. Anyway, that's just a few examples of how I approach selling prints that I hope are useful to you people. Have a look at some of the other videos, have a look at the articles I've written. So once again, knowing who buys your prints really helps. It can drive the business, but okay, that's it. But it comes back to one other bit, that, and it's a significant theme here. Really, why do people want to buy your prints? And if you're not happy with the reasons people want to buy your prints, do you really want to sell them? I would say, obviously, if it's a business, yes, you're going to. But are you going to have to change what you sell because of why people buy it and who buys it? A whole load more things like that. This is just a sort of a few additional comments that based on experiences I've had over the years selling prints, and also talking to other people who sell prints. When I travel around the UK, I'd often drop into galleries and the like and have a chat with people. Now fortunately, most of the time people may know me because of my test images and printer testing and things, so it's always nice to go and have a chat about printing, technical aspects. They tell me about how their printer business has gone, and I maybe tell them about some new aspects of printers coming out or something that will make a difference to their printing. Now, when I say I talk to people who sell prints, these are people who've set up a business to sell prints. Now, I've looked at the business aspects in other videos, but remember, when you sell prints, you are not your market. A lot of your knowledge and experience is utterly irrelevant. You are the person that creates the work. You're not the person who buys it. And that's something, I say this in I think almost every video, because it's one of the biggest things I find that photographers have difficulty with grasping. In particular, talk to other people about how they see your prints. These are people who might want your prints, whether you're giving them away or selling them at art fairs or whatever. Talk to people, find out what they like about your prints. Why did they buy them? Be prepared, as I say, to be disappointed. Now, I might look at this particular print. This was Ohio Pass in Colorado, one fall, and the colours truly were astounding. It was a superb day out, drive up over the pass, and the colours were like this all over the place. That's great. To me, I look at this, and this particular picture needs some work on it, because whether a setting I did wrong on a particular picture or something, it wasn't quite sharp enough. Now I've worked on this and I've got nice prints. So therefore I'm happy with the quality of this. What are most people going to see? Basically, no one gives a damn about print quality. Sorry, they just don't notice the fact that maybe it was a bit soft in this corner or anything like that. That's not what people see. Your print skills. Gosh, look at the depth I've managed to get in this particular paper, on this particular art paper. Do you know what the Dmax was on this particular paper? These are also features that nobody cares about. Yes, we care about it. People we talk to on forums about printing, they care about it. But the people who want to buy the picture and have it on the wall, sorry, they don't care either. Oh, I mentioned this being the day out in Colorado has a lot of memories. I was there with Karen, we were driving up through the mountains. She'd never been in this area before. Beautiful day. Nobody cares about that either. When people see a picture like this, they see a decorative print that is going to fit in their home somewhere, and that's it. Maybe, very rarely, you might get someone who actually has heard of Ohio Pass in Colorado and goes, oh yes, I've been there. But you could stand around talking to an awful lot of people, particularly here in the UK, and to find someone who actually knew what you were talking about. People don't care about that. They want decorative art. And I would say, just as one thing, in terms of decorative art, more people want warm colours on their walls than cool colours. Now, I really like this picture. It's one of my favourites. That doesn't care, really. Most people would much rather have this warmish looking one. Same thing goes for black and white. Have a picture of the Tetons. Cloudy, snowy day, break in the cloud, mountain appears through. As a black and white picture, I quite like this. People don't like black and white. You will occasionally find people do it, but in general, they see black and white as gloomy. Sorry, that's it. If this is putting you off, then yes, it should for a bit, because you need to be realistic if you want to sell prints. If you're doing them for your own benefit and other things, all these things I've said that don't matter, do matter, because it's about your development as a photographer and what you're doing. So find people you trust. So my wife Karen, who helps run the Northlight business, does the Northlight newsletter amongst other things, has a much better eye for interior design than I do. That means that when she was looking through the archive of photos, and there are well over 100,000 photos in the archive I've got, she was looking through some photos, looking for something to put up in our bedroom, which has a predominantly blue turquoise tone to it, has a certain decor about it. The picture she picked was this one. I'll inset it so you can just have a look rather than trying to squint at this on a screen. This is just to give you an idea of the size of it. It's a lake in Colorado, early one morning, blue mist, predominantly bluish tone to it. This matches the decor, I'm told. Yeah, I'm not that colour and style deaf. Yes, I can see that it matches. Wouldn't have been the picture that I would have picked to put there. But then that's why she does interior design and decorating. Now, what I would say is when you're talking about selling your prints, find people to trust to ask their advice. So I will always ask Karen what she thinks about a particular picture, because to her, it doesn't matter that I'm really impressed by the amount of detail I've got in some bit of the print or something like this. Yeah, it's about the colour, it's about the look, it's about the photo. I'm always going to say, if they were open these days, go and visit Ikea or look at the catalogue. Look at the pictures they sell for decor. Now, from an artistic point of view, you can tut and frown upon them as much as you like. But if you want to sell pictures, you can be pretty sure that there's nothing in the Ikea range that hasn't gone through a lot of focus group testing and hasn't been thought of how it combines with room decor and interior design. I almost wince thinking about it, but that's because I'm not thinking in the right mode for selling prints. If you sell prints, the prints you sell are the prints people want to buy. And talking of prints people want to buy, I mentioned black and white, it's not very popular. I tend to find also that vertical format prints, portrait, are not as popular. Landscape is more popular, and wide ones like this are great. Do you know why they're great? Because they cover a larger area of wall. It's as simple as that. Now, as I said, you may not like some of these observations, but they're things that if I'm selling prints, I'll take notice of. So that's about it. To recap, it's about understanding who buys your prints, why they buy your prints. If you're selling prints, who you get to decide who decides what to buy, where you sell them, all sorts of things like that. So you can see from that initial common question of where do I sell prints, that misses out so many potential aspects of it. You may decide after looking at things like this that it's just too much trouble. For ourselves, it's just not part of our regular business. It's not a profitable part of the business. If I lived somewhere else, if I lived by the seaside, maybe I would have a gallery, maybe not. I don't know. My photography business would be probably quite different if I lived by the seaside, but I don't anymore. So, think about these things. Anyway, I hope those clips were of interest. If you've got any questions, please do ask, because it's people's questions that drive my videos, my doing stuff and that. And I've got lots more like this. Let me know if you find them useful, and I'll have a look through some of the other bits and pieces and try and update some of the archives and put things through into videos like this. But thanks for watching. Please do the usual like and subscribe. It is appreciated, and thanks for watching.